Welcome to a life-transforming message from the Ville International Ministry. Our messages are heaven-breathed, Holy Spirit-inspired, and destiny-changing for the transformation of individuals and society. As you listen, may you be blessed and positioned to take your place in life and be prepared for eternity.
What money is all about. They do not know how money works. So today, I'm going to be talking to you about the GIS of money. Hopefully, no one in Pottersville. That's why I'm like, look, you know what? Listen, I'm not saying you should listen to me because I want your money. I'm saying you should listen to me because if you get these things right, you will get everything right. Why are there a lot of betting companies in Nigeria? A lot of betting companies in Nigeria because a lot of people do not know what to do with money. So they bet their lives and they bet their future. Baba Jebu, everything, everybody, they think that it is betting that will give them financial wealth. And some people enter into what I call addiction. So how do we teach people? How do you think? If you don't understand financial literacy, you will not understand why somebody who is a professor of money management at Harvard University, the professor of money management at Harvard University, will earn 1/10 of what an Oprah Winfrey would earn in one day, or what his name, Ronaldo will earn. You will not understand it. So you will think that someone who is a professor of money management in Harvard should earn more. So he tells you that financial literacy is very common. And it's common, but unfortunately, if we as the church do not teach money, we would also figure out that many people in the church will also be financially illiterate. They will do what exactly every other person is doing. So it tells me that a wiki, you understand there, tells me one thing, that money does not change a man. Money just reveals the kind of caricature he is. It's the same thing as power. So some people you see that they are what do you call it? They are humble. When they have a little money like this, you will see their true nature. You understand? Money has not changed them. Money just revealed what was hidden. So you saw someone that was shouting at the commission officer here. It was just the power that was being revealed, that this kind of person in power is. But you saw when the governor was also having that same kind of thing, you saw how the governor acted. Two different people acting in two different ways. Their revelation was how power reveals. At the end of the day, you will still have the authority to do what you do through the means of policy. But you don't need to shout. In fact, somebody said to me one day, he said, when you see somebody shouting, the person does not have money. He said, money does not shout, power does not shout. Have you ever been under a heavy what do you call it? High tension wire. You say, That's how you begin with women. But God bless you, let that thing touch you. Then you will know that there's power and there's power. Are you listening to me? So people should understand, and I want believers and I want members who are going to change the world to understand how money works. For instance, if you do not know how money works, you might probably not be able to interpret if crypto is money. So how many of you think that crypto is money? Or how many can make wealth for money? Those are things. And a lot of people are into crypto. It's fine. I'm not saying that you cannot use crypto, you cannot trade crypto, but is crypto money? That's the thing. Then you now goes back. You now have to go back to what is money? What is money? So the earliest definition of money when I was in primary school, secondary school, was that money is a store of value. True of us. Talk to me, church. Money is what? A store of value. Money is also what? A means of exchange and a unit of measurement. Three things. So if money does not have those three things, then it's not what? It's not money. That is ordinary paper. And that tells me that if people understand money, they would understand, for instance, financial literacy, simple 101. And that's somebody said that, why are we talking about money? I said, if I don't talk about money, a lot of you will pursue money and you not come to service. So now, if you understand money, you will understand that, for instance, if inflation is 30%, if inflation is what? 30%, and you are saving money at 10%, you are not actually saving money, you're actually losing money. So if you put your money in the bank in terms of inflation, you're actually losing money, you're not saving money. Except you put it in an investment that goes against higher than the rate of inflation. So if you're not against the rate of inflation, then you're actually losing money. And that's the reason why many times people did not store money in naira at a particular point in time because of inflation. So why would you understand that instead of keeping money in something that loses value, then you have to store it in things that does not lose value? Because at a particular point in time, you could almost say that was a worthless currency because it was not a store of value. You could have 20 million naira today, and by tomorrow, that 20 million naira can buy nothing. We saw it in Nigeria. Is that not true? There was a time we could use 20 million naira to buy a car, brand new car. You understand? Do you know that I grew up knowing that I could use 3,000 naira to buy a brand new car? I'm sure the first kind, there was a time my parents bought one Toyota they bought it in the house. Then they now decided to sell it. You understand? Like that day I cried and cried because I love the car. You understand? But I'm sure that car was like 3,000 naira. The 3,000 naira that used to buy shawarma today, we have used it to buy car in Nigeria. But it was because the naira had lost value. So how do you think about, what do you think? How do you store? How do you earn? How do you keep? How do you spend money? What do you do? Those are all financial literacy. What do you do? How do you earn the money? How do you think about money, like we told you last week? Now, when you earn the money, what do you do? Is the money a seed, or the money is what? Is something to be spent? And that's the reason why most times when you see a real rich man, he hardly spends as much as a lot of people spend. Why? Because he sees the capacity of that money to bring more money. So he's always thinking, how do I invest this money to bring more money? Now, financial literacy will tell you the fact that everybody has 24 hours, but it's not 24 hours is not all equal. And the most important thing is that since you and I cannot have more than 24 hours, we must do something that 24 hours must yield more to me than to every other person. And that's how leverage enters. So how do I leverage opportunities and circumstances so that I can earn more money than the average person? So I cannot earn all the money I want to earn. So I have to use opportunities. And those are the things that how people think about money. So as a church, Jesus spoke a lot of times about money because he also realized that money is a distraction. And as a church too, we're also talking about money. But every young person listening to me will make the same mistake most people made if you do not take to heart the things we're saying. Many years ago, to birth the Protestant revolution in England and in Europe, there was a man called John Wesley. He preached a message. He called it the use of money. And in the use of money, he said, you must get all you can, you must save all you can, and you must give all you can. So the Protestant ethic was all about working as hard as they can to get all the money they can get. And they were always saving as much as they could save. And at the end of the day, they were going to give out as much as they were going to give out. That was the Protestant ethic. But you see, in our generation, well, I will not tell you to save money, especially in naira, because of the fact that if I ask people, they say, how much is the highest saving rate that saving will give you? Maybe 10%. But maybe if you do even financial instruments, it will give you 25. But all of those things are still what? They're still below the current level of inflation. And that means that a 1 naira today is not worth 1 naira next year, because at 24%, he will lose at least 24% of his value. And that's how life has been going. People should understand. So how do you think about money? How do you allow financial literacy? What do you do? What should I tell every young person that wants to be a world changer, that God wants to raise up for our generation? You have to figure out that there is what they call a financial literacy 101. And money. So money is what also means a means of exchange. So for instance, in those days, if I have rice and you have beans, we will now exchange it together. So it's what they used to have trade by barter. Now the problem with trade by barter is that you will now say that one module of rice and one module of beans, are they of equal value? How do you know they're not of equal value? That is the fight. So they now needed to figure out a way in which to make sure that everybody that brings, maybe for 1 unit is 2 module of rice. Then another unit, for 1 unit is 1 module. So that exchange is what takes place. That tells me that money is always earned from value creation. What did I say? Money is earned from what? Money is earned from what? You didn't get money is earned from what? So if you are creating no value, what would you earn? If you are creating no value, what would you earn? Because the exact thing of money is that you are exchanging value. So somebody would exchange value for you, and you bring, is what you bring to the table as value that somebody else will give to you the monetary terms of it all. Are you understanding me? Now, so value differs. So value is a function of both quality, quantity, and the rarity. So if I have a rare skill and you have a popular skill, we cannot earn the same amount of money. Why? Because I have a rare skill. And I told you last week, I said, in Nigeria, a friend of mine was telling me that they gave a neurosurgeon 6.5 million naira for a 4-hour surgery. So imagine that neurosurgeon does one surgery every day and earns 6.5 million naira. How much would he earn in a year? But can you earn 6.5 million naira in a day? You can only earn it if you bring something of value to be exchanged on the table. So if you don't have anything of value, then you're not having anything of what to exchange. Now, sometimes some people have things of value. It's their body. You know what I'm talking about. They just bring their body. See, their body is what they bring to the table. And I know that a lot of people do that in our generation. Both male and female. We call them male and female prostitutes. You understand what I'm saying? All they have is their body. But it's the meanest and the most downgrading thing, as the most animalistic thing in life. But there's other things. Like someone was saying to me, he said, if you use your brain, you will not need to sweat less. If your brain is sweating, then your body will sweat less. So as your brain is thinking, then you have to think, how do I think to solve a problem? How do I solve a problem? Because once I solve a problem, and if that problem is a big problem, then I would earn money. So money is about exchange. So if you're going to exchange something, you're going to exchange something because you are bringing a solution to the table. Now the question is this: what solution are you bringing to the table? And to who are you solving that solution? Are you solving the problem for? So once you solve a problem, what happens to you? Money flows to you because you are bringing value to the table. Look, you can be an anointed man, an anointed preacher like Jesus was as a carpenter. What a carpenter will earn is different from what somebody else will earn. And it's the truth. But it's all about what? Value. It's all about what? Value. So what value are you bringing to the table? So every time, whenever you see your mind, you may ask yourself, what's value? Now, the most important thing about life is that the things that used to be valuable before have stopped becoming valuable. Things that used to be expensive before have stopped becoming. Now, a lot of tools, AI has made a lot of tools become, to become readily accessible. For instance, maybe before you could make a website for 2 million naira. With a website, AI can give you a website in 90 seconds for maybe like $20. So you see the value of website making will come down. Why? Because there's an alternative. But if your skill is rare, what happens to you? Then that means that you will keep becoming valuable even when the life changes. Now, the person you also solve that problem for also determines how much you would earn. So for instance, the person who cleans the toilet and the bedroom here cannot earn the same money like the person who cleans the toilet and the bedroom of the Prince of Saudi Arabia. Can they earn the same money? No. Why? It is because who they are solving it for. Praise the Lord. So you have to understand all those things, and those are the things that really matter in the dispensation of life. What value are you bringing to the table? Because that is what will be exchanged. Money is a means of what? Exchange. If you bring nothing to the table, you have nothing to exchange. Now, people do not understand the means of exchange, and they will think that, look, take for instance, my mom is here. Many years ago, my mom used to sell lace, silk lace, Swiss lace, all those Swiss But the economy of Nigeria changed. And people started wearing Ankara. Ankara started making money. Her generation of people could not see themselves sell Ankara. They could not even touch it. Before Ankara, they will not touch it. They will not touch it. And a lot of them went out of business. But those people that knew that the value that these people want is Ankara now, they transited to Ankara, they were in business. So it tells me one thing, that money is, that means that value is also an emotional thing. That if you don't master the emotions that are involved with those things, you probably would also lose out. So the question is, what are you going to do with your life if you do not have a value to bring to the table? What are you going to exchange for? What are you going to exchange? What are you going to bring to the table? What does the generation need? What would they pay for? For instance, I schooled in the university as a biochemist. And I know that no matter the enemy that follows someone, if the person as a biochemist discovers the cure of HIV, the person will be wealthy for the rest of his life. True of us? Right? Because that's a problem that, in fact, not even HIV. Look, HIV so is that do you know that? Imagine someone sleeping and dreaming and God gives him the cure for cancer. Do you know how much money that person will make? The person will not recover. When the person pretends it, the person's children will keep enjoying that money. That's called generational wealth. So it means that generational wealth is a function of the applied wisdom that is solved in a time. So you solve a problem of a people, what happens to you? You have generational wealth. Are you willing to hear me this morning? So before you say I don't open Bible. So the model I want to give to you now, which is different from the model that John Wesley gave, is what I call the GIS model for money. The GIS model is what? The G is what? Give. The I is what? Invest. And the S is what? Spend. I didn't say save. I said what? Invest. I cannot tell you to invest money. I cannot tell you to save money and not let that money work for you, because that money will effectively be losing value. If you put 10,000, I told you, listen to me. No, you didn't listen to me. If you put 10,000 in your bank account, to get, how much will you get? Maybe 9%. At the end of the year, what's 9%? Let's talk 10 million naira. Somebody said last week, I said, let our minds be talking in billions. Is that okay? Let our mind enter billions. Not we'll talk millions, but it's just for mathematics says that I'm talking this 10 million. Let's talk 10 million naira. 10 million naira. If you save 10 million naira at 9%, how much does it give you in a year? 900,000 naira. Now, effectively, if inflation is 24%, what's the real value of that money? That's 10 million naira minus 2.4 million. So have you lost money or not? You have lost money. So the goal is not to save. The goal is to what? To invest. You may have to save to invest, but you must first what? The goal is not saving. The goal is what? Investing. It's in investing that you begin to get back your thing. And I wish I had enough time to tell you that. So I now go back to the give. As a church, you decide, what should you do? What's the first give? Give. The Bible says, honor the Lord with what? With your substance and what? The first fruit of your income. As a church, as Pottersville, we believe and we speak for the tithes. And I will say clearly that I know that a lot of people have told you, a lot of people have said that the tithe was Old Testament. Have you heard it before? This is Old Testament. Church, talk to me. Don't be scared. Talk to me. Have you heard it before? I know you've heard it before. That's why you're not paying tithe. So it says Old Testament. You understand? And I want to say something to you. What is the Old Testament? Have you ever understood the Bible? The Bible is divided into two: pre-resurrection and post-resurrection. In the pre-resurrection, they have about 6 stages in which God dealt with man. 6 dispensations: the dispensation of innocence, the dispensation of conscience, the dispensation of human government, the dispensation of law, and the dispensation No, 5. Those were the dispensation that God, in the dispensation of innocence, God was speaking to man and God had man. In the dispensation of conscience, man had sinned and it was their conscience that God was using. No, 6 was the dispensation of promise. Now, in the time of human government, it was the time from, from the time of Noah, it was the time of the human government to the call of Abraham. It was the time of the human government. Now, in the dispensation of promise, there was something that took place. The tithe had taken place not in the Old Testament, not in the dispensation of law. It took place in the dispensation of what? The promise. It meant that at the dispensation of the promise, God was saying to Abraham, this promise is a typology of the things I want you to do in your life. So in Genesis chapter 13, the Bible said, Genesis chapter 13 or 14, the Bible said that Abraham had met Melchizedek. Abraham met Melchizedek, and he met Melchizedek. What made Abraham give him tithe was a revelation that God was the possessor of the heavens and the earth, and he was the protector. And that's why I always say that it's a revelation that God is the possessor of the heavens and the earth, and the preserver from evil, that made Abraham give him tithe. He said, I'm blessed and glorified be God Most High, who has given your enemies into your hand. And Abraham gave him a tenth of all. It's a revelation. We also saw in Genesis, in Matthew chapter 23 today, when Jesus asked, who do you men say I am? God says, the revelation. Look, this revelation is what will make you win the battle in life. That God is the possessor of the heavens and the earth. And the Bible said Abraham gave him a tenth of all. So the tithe was not an Old Testament law. It was a revelation given during the time of what? During the time of what? The special promise. Let me shock you. If Abraham's promise was insignificant, why did the Bible tell you in Galatians chapter 3 that Jesus died on this cross that you and I may obtain the blessings of Abraham? Why is the blessing of Abraham the answer to the things you're saying? So if it's the blessing of Abraham, then you must do the works of Abraham to get the blessing of Abraham. True or false? So God said that revelation that Jesus is the Son of God was what Jesus used to build his church. But the revelation that God is the possessor of the heavens and the earth. Do you know what I tell people? In the New Testament, in the spirit of grace, the revelation is even different too, and it's more wonderful. Should I shock you? The revelation is not only that God is the possessor of the heavens and the earth, but the blood, the death and burial and resurrection of Jesus is also your own possessor. That means that 100% of your life actually belongs to God. You know, you and I cannot preach that in church, because it will mean that they bring everything to church. But that's what the early Christians did. That's why whenever anybody wanted to come and do anything against that thing, Ananias and Sapphira was the proof that God was against them. Ananias and Sapphira, they died in times of grace. So it wasn't in times of law. It was in time of grace. Why? Grace, sin more abound and grace more abound. Why did they die in time of grace? They died in time of grace because they were going to break a fundamental law of God. So you give tithe. And the tithe is not just, I earn 1,000 naira. No, before you spend anything, you honor God. It's honor. In fact, we were taught that when you're giving your tithe and your offering to God, you actually bow down in honor, in reverence. Why? Because what you're giving him. And let me tell you something. I realized many years ago that whoever pays their tithe, no evil comes to them. No evil comes to them. I also realized many years ago that they don't take a wrong turn, financial turn in life. You see people doing well, all of a sudden they just take a wrong financial turn and all that money disappears. Somebody said to me, and that person is a tither. Because that's how the devourer makes people lose money. So give 10%. So as a church, but you say, when we started Pottersville, I was not even talking about money. I was talking about money because everybody felt that people started church because of money. So we didn't even talk about money for a while. But I saw that people that ordinary, I shared with you that somebody will come to my office, a lady will come to my office, and she will come and give me water. You know water? Water. Bottled water. 12 bottles of water, small bottle of water. She will give it to me. Say, Pastor, I don't have anything. I cannot come to you. I cannot agree. And she will give it to me. And I saw her. I saw her. I saw God transform her life. I saw God transform her life. I know somebody else again who will come to church and come and say, Pastor, this is my tithe. Give it to me. And she will kneel down. And I wasn't teaching about tithe. And I refused to teach it. But she had caught it. And she will come and give it to me. The reason why I don't come out to give tithe here is because, as in Revelation, it's supposed to be the priest that should take the tithe. So I cannot give it to somebody else again. But it's a revelation. So you give it to the priest, and the priest takes it and blesses you. So it's not an Old Testament law. It was a law that was given in the dispensation. And even it's an Old Testament law, that even God connected in the Old Testament law. What is the Old Testament law? Let's talk about the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not have any other God before God. Has that been passed away? Answer me now. Or any of those 10 Commandments, is it possible that God has wiped it out, or that grace has wiped it out? What are we talking about? So give. What should you do? Give. I'm not going to talk about it, Emma. Give. I will say, give and it shall be given to you. Jesus spoke about it. And let me shock you. Jesus lived in the time of the law. Jesus lived in the time of the law. So Jesus paid tithes. Is that okay? It was his blood that ushered in a new dispensation. The second thing is what? Invest. In Genesis chapter 41, please, my time. Are you willing to learn? I need you to understand this, especially for every young person listening to me. Genesis 41 is the I. You know, I told you, I said, I am not into saving. I am into what? Investing. Good. In Genesis 41, in verse 1, the Bible talks about Joseph had a dream, Abby. Praise the Lord. Do you agree? But because of our time, look at 32. Let's do 32. I'm going to actually go to 34 and 35. Then the dream was repeated twice to Pharaoh. And in two different ways, indicates that this matter is fully determined and established by God, and God will bring it to pass very quickly. Look at verse 33. Now, David and Joseph, what was Joseph's skill before? What was Joseph's skill before? Initial skill was dreamer, but later skill was what? Interpretation of dream. Church, are you listening to me? Please, I want you to be awake. What was Joseph's second skill? So his first skill was ability to dream. His second skill was what? What was his third skill? The third skill was the management skill of how to manage resources. So the third skill was what? The management skill of how to invest and manage resources. Now, I'm going there. So let Pharaoh prepare. What did he say? Pharaoh, look for a man discerning and clear-headed and wise, and set him in charge. Look, if you know who you are, you will not beg men for positions. If you know what you are bringing to the table, you will tell person, go anywhere in the world, go anywhere. It is because I've been telling people, and I'm saying this, one of the first things I set out to do in Pottersville was to raise men of skill, because I know that the reason why people make compromises in their offices is because they do not have options. If they have options, if they know that they will survive, if they know that if they leave that office, they can still earn that kind of money, they will not compromise. But if they feel that, if I lose this person, that is gone, I will do as they do. They say, when you go to Rome, do as they do in Rome. Then you now see that even Christians get to Abuja and they'll begin to steal. They'll begin to lie. They'll begin to change books. Then where is our Christianity? Where is our faith? Don't be afraid of. Any of you will stop you will stop doing corruption. Is that okay? Have you heard me? You don't say amen. Like I've said this on the altar so that when I get to heaven, nobody's blood will be on my head. Let Pharaoh take action to appoint overseers. He says, go and look for anybody, an official over the land, and set aside. What did he say? 1/5 of what? Of the produce of the entire land of Egypt. Can I make a proposition that what is 1/5? What's 1/5 in percentage? What's 1/5? I know how many people pass mathematics now. What's 1/5 in percentage? You have said 20%. 1/5, 20%. Can I make a proposition that this tells us that 20% of everything you earn in the time of abundance is for your future savings? So 10% is your tithes. 20% is what? Your investment money. And the earlier you start it, the better. The earlier you start it, the better. Your investments are the ones that will shield you from the heat whenever there's heat in the land. The difference between men is not what they earned, it's what they kept and what they invested and what who multiplied what was earned. It's 20%. Young people, listen to me. 20% of all your earnings must go into an investment account. There's Sister Choma here. Go and meet her. Open an investment account today before you leave here. I'm not standing here. If there's anybody in any bank here, you know, that's the only person I know. In fact, you can see all my book here is a bank. Let me not mention a bank on air. You understand? But that's wherever it is. If you go, I've said that before. When Ebisola was in a bank, I was like, go and do an investment account now. Even 100,000, you can do 100,000 investment account. With 100,000, you can do an investment account. Even Pastor Chiedu too, they do investment account. Abi, they do your own too, Abi. I don't know. I'm not going to talk on that one. They've not paid me for that one. They're not paying me. But Sister is my person, so I can support her. But our own bank hasn't paid us. Say, take 20%. 20% of everything you earn in the time of abundance should be for your future. Let me shock you. How many people were in the office the day that Pharaoh was speaking? Everybody was there. True of us. They were there. How many people did it? Only Pharaoh. How do I know only Pharaoh? Every other person sold their land because they did not do it. Because if they had kept 20% at the time of famine, they would have had enough after when the famine came. And the time of famine may be different times. For instance, maybe just be a time. Famine time is just the time that you're no more working or things are no longer working. Are you listening to me? For instance, you may be doing a business and that business has passed its time. That becomes times of famine. But it doesn't mean that you should suffer because that business has passed its time. Maybe technology has made that business pass its time. Like for instance, I know that banks used to open a lot of branches, but that has passed its time. Why? Because technology. So something may pass its time, but it doesn't mean you should suffer. Why? Because you have made investments. And that investment should protect you. It's a 20%. It's not to buy Brazilian hair. It's to do what? Invest. Before you spend one dime, you should have given your tithe and your offering to God and invest. 20%. Every income. Make sure. Put aside. Verse 35. Verse 35. Just 41:35. Let them gather as a tax. So he made all of them gather all this food, all these good years that are coming, and stop grain until under the direction and authority of Pharaoh, and let them guard the food in fortified granaries in the cities. They saved money. They saved 25%. They did not eat all their produce. What happened? Famine came. Those that did not save, they came to sell their land. In fact, they sold themselves. They said, we are slaves of Pharaoh. That's what happens when you do not plan for the day in which things might not be working well. Church, I'm asking you, can you make a commitment today that 20% of all your income will be invested? Sometimes, you see, investment differs. The financial currencies, the currencies. I want to teach investment. There are times I even told I told Amara to come and do investment today. I didn't even say in church. Is she in church? No. I don't want you to think that don't invest in me. Invest. The opportunity of investing. There are different opportunities. My question is, would you invest or would you spend all your money? Then the remaining 70% is what? There's a guy who used to Pep Guardiola. Yeah, how many of you know Pep Guardiola? He coaches Man City. So he divides the field into 4: front, middle, center, and so forth. So there are things you can do here. There are things you can do here. There are things you can do here. But when you get to the fourth place, it says freedom. You're not to think. You're not. It's whatever comes to your mind. When you get to the opponent post, it's whatever comes to your mind. If it's shoot, you shoot. If it's pass, you pass. You're not to think. Whatever just comes, whatever opportunity you see, seize it immediately. It's freedom. Freedom. And in that freedom, you can think about freedom, about investing in yourself, about freedom, about buying things, about thinking of yourself. And if your expenses is beyond that 70%, you actually mean that your expenses are more than what you're probably earning now. So you've got to figure out how to stop it and cancel it. That means that you are not going to compare yourself with other people. Let other people buy Giovanni Versace's shirt. Buy a t-shirt. Shirt na shirt. It covers everybody and you will go. You're not competing with anybody. You just do it at your own time. And by the time you are ready, the person who has used his money to buy other things and wasted it will no longer have any money again. But you will not be living on your investment. Pottersville, that's the GIS model. The give, invest, and spend. Before you spend anything of your income, you must first give 10% tithe. And you ask me, what are you going to do with your tithe? By the grace of God, one of the things that we did it from day one, knowing fully well that we're going to be a global church, is that our pastors or the senior pastor of this church not only does not take an income from the church, he also does not spend your church money. I do not sign checks. I'm not a signatory to any account. I don't even know how people spend money. Initially, the only reason why I used to know that people were not giving tithe was because I knew if I added 222, I knew that it meant that the church was not, a lot of people were not paying their tithe. That's how I knew. But I've never looked at anybody. I'm sure we don't have SMS alert. So if you give money, nobody knows. But there are days, one day, something happened one day, they had to give me all the, what they call it, printout. I had to look at it. Hey, let me know those who have been paying tithe. Hey. But no, but that's a joke. But the truth is, it doesn't come to me. I made up my mind that if this church buys a plane, then the plane will be readily available to every other person, not just the pastors, because it's the money of the church. Anything that the church buys must be for everybody in church. That's one decision we made long ago as we started. That they sign checks, they don't sign checks. I'm not aware. I will have a committee, they overlook those things, and once they look at it, they sign, they agree. They don't even tell me. Normally, someone will say, I should be knowing. I said, once it passes a certain amount, please let me know. So let me have an idea if you are under pressure. You understand? But it doesn't pass. Nobody tells me. And I'm happy so that the day I have my own money, I can also do it anyhow I want to do it. So if I buy a house at Eco Atlantic, nobody will complain. You not say it's church money. I will say that. I'll ask people, have you seen my money? Have you seen me inside your account? They say no. So please hold it. Is that okay? I said that to give you comfort that this is a relationship between you and God, not between you and any man. And I'm saying that because it's not because I want to be wealthy from what you're going to do. By the grace of God, church, I didn't see church as a place of wealth. I saw church as a place of service. But I know God is a God of wealth. And God will bless everybody who worships him. Like I told you earlier on, I've not seen anybody pay their tithe, and God did not defend from evil. Let evil want to happen to everybody, God will take you out because you're a tithe payer. And God will help you. That's the GIS model. How many of you will give, invest? I did not say save. There's a mindset of saving, it's mindset of investment. Middle class people think about saving. I'm thinking about investing. So that one day, your investment would earn more money than even your salary. So even if you're earning 200, let's say you're earning 2 million naira per month, do you know that there's a way you can invest and that your investment can be giving you income of more than 2 million naira, more than what you earn presently? Then I know you're already wealthy because your investment. And that's why when you see some people running on the streets, there are times their investments are the one making for them. Don't compare yourself with them. They are running because, God is a God of justice. If you don't run to go and look for food, you will run to burn the food. You understand? That's exactly how God is. It's either you run to go and get the food or you run to go and burn the food. You must run. Everybody must run. It's either to burn the food or to get the food. That's justice. But you must understand that. So I want to welcome you to a new season. And I don't know how many of you will seize the opportunity to ensure that for the rest of your life, you'll be like, and you see, by the time Joseph finished it, you know what Pharaoh told him? He said, you are the one that will be promoted. Once you give the word an answer, you give the one value, they will promote you. Be a solution provider. Think solution. Think, how can I solve problem? Do you know how is it easy to to be a billionaire? Let me tell you. It's so easy to solve a billion that if 1 billion people give you 1 naira every month, what would you be? A billionaire. If 1 billion people give you 1 naira every month. So what solution can you think about to be a billionaire? That's why when I see those people doing tech, I say, I see $1 billion. Because if you can think well, you can have $1 billion at the slightest thing. And that's why I say this is the best time to live. Because people in those days may not have had this kind of opportunity, but we all have this opportunity. The question is, are you going to do the GIS for money and for wealth? The choice is yours. The future is at your beck and call. God is waiting for you. The Bible says the earnest expectations of the creatures are also waiting for you. God bless you. Good morning.